Good morning, everyone. Good to have you here. Paul Treddy with Jesús Ramirez.
Hey, everybody.
Yay. Day 3, third day, our final day with you. It's been fantastic so far. Definitely, trust me, they're replays. Definitely worth a watch, worth saving, bookmarking, whatever you do.
Screenshotting,
Awesome.
get our beautiful faces in there. And your desktop, yeah.
Okay, you got it?
We got
Good.
it.
Good. Perfect.
Let's do it.
Well, we want to give you a warm welcome. Savan and Alex and Kita, welcome. Thank you, Howard. Kicked it off this morning. We're going all day long. We have you for 2 hours, which is great. But we also have an all-star lineup today, the final day for Photoshop this week. So we have you for a couple hours, portfolio reviews coming up, and then we have John Olson from 11 to 1 using totally different subject matter, which is fascinating. Life of AVAX, which is Vanessa from 1 to 3 as well. So hang out with us. Love to have you here. And yeah, it's been fun. I love these weeks where we're talking about dusting off your portfolio and tackling Photoshop like a pro, which is what you do.
That's right.
I love it. And also, just real fast, we do have today's portfolio review day. So just an FYI, you will see that tab next to the chat tab right there, portfolio review.
Nice.
Just submit your portfolio, and in about 90 minutes, we will pick a couple of them and review them. Spend some quality time on them, just ripping them to shreds. No, I'm just kidding. But since we have a pro here, we want to get your advice. And speaking of portfolios, I'd love to just switch over to your screen.
Let's do it.
Because you have all the pretty graphics.
No, man, no, not at all.
Look at all these pretty. These are all the pretty graphics. It's so unified, and that's what I love about everybody's work. Like, this is your style.
That's right.
Starting out, did you know because I think we get this style question sometimes. Did you know you had a style or a look? Like,
I don't think it was apparent until I just started seeing that everything I made had a certain look, and I was like, oh yeah, it looks like.
Were you like, that's pretty cool?
Well, no, I never say that. Every time I look
but I
at
think you should.
Well,
say
yeah,
that.
I should
It's
say
cool.
that. But like, I think most artists look at their work and they see all the mistakes that they make, and like, for a lot of these pieces, especially the Adobe Stock piece, like I had a deadline, or I would put a deadline on myself.
Yeah.
On personal projects, because, for example, the Spider-Man one, it took me about 10 hours.
Oh.
And I could have worked another 10 hours on it, just to like improve certain things. But then, like, I just like having a deadline so that I just like focus on it for a day, 2 days, whatever it is. And then that's that. Otherwise, I could spend 3 weeks on it and still not be done. And is it really going to be that much better? I don't know. I mean, maybe it is, but like a 5% increase. So it's probably
That's true. Like, what's the biggest bang for your buck?
Right.
It's like you spend 80%. Well, 20% of your time probably gives you like 80% of the results.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's that last like 5-10%. It's probably really hard if you're trying to make something perfect, but it's good to say, hey, it's done.
Yeah.
It's time to move on.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of artists that just get stuck and work on something forever, and it never really improves, or maybe just a tiny little bit. But if they were done with it, move on to something else, they could probably improve their skills because they're working on multiple projects instead of just like one and not really be done with it.
I would say, and if you're lucky enough to have a project that is a personal passion project, like pick it up like later on, like you were saying, dust it off like down the line, and then trust me, that last little bit probably will.
Yeah, exactly.
Drastically improve.
Exactly.
Yeah. The Pareto principle, you're correctly correct.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Pareto principle.
80-20. That's right.
Which
All
is
right.
good.
So
Yeah.
maybe I should show something I haven't shown before during this stream. And I think one of the things that I'll show is we'll start with some 3D stuff. Even though we might not get into 3D today, I still want to show some of the stuff that I like doing is with 3D. So this was made using an Adobe application that I don't see a lot of people using, Adobe Fuse, which is an application that allows you to create 3D characters, and then you can control them in Photoshop. You can animate them in Photoshop. And I don't remember the number, but there's about, 2,200 or so animations. And one of those animations is like a zombie crawl.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
Then you can scroll the timeline and then get them in that right pose. And then I use an Adobe Stock image, and then just made like a custom texture. You can edit textures for 3D models in Photoshop, which is what I did there. You really can't see, but if you look at his shirt, you can see my PTC logo right about there.
I see it. Got it.
I just learned this really, really fancy zooming in technique.
There it is.
There it is. So, and I like doing that in a lot of my projects, adding like little hidden Easter eggs, which is actually what I did on my newest, well, this is not my newest composite, it's my newest 3D creation, which was done in Adobe Dimension, which is a 3D compositing app. It's really cool because Adobe Dimension allows you to match the lighting and perspective of an image, and you just start adding 3D models either from Adobe Stock or other 3D applications, and it just renders them for you really, really easily. You don't have to know 3D. It was designed for designers who are not 3D designers to create design work. Like this here. So that's actually a video capture of what the actual 3D room looks like in Dimension.
Nice.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is. And yeah, 3D is always something that designers want to learn, because look, you can literally, probably what you did, you took snapshots of different angles of this room. And where's the Easter egg in here? Is it on
That's a whole bunch. I just saw a question that I want to answer. They were like, what is that zoom technique? So on a Windows, if you hold the Windows key, you can use the plus and minus keys to zoom in and out, which I didn't know.
On Windows?
Yeah, on Windows.
Oh, is that what that was?
That was what that was.
Oh,
Windows plus and minus. So I didn't know that.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in here. Like, for example, there's my Spider-Man composite here. There's a picture of this drawing, actually, that I think this is the only angle that you can see it, was made by my friend Mark Keeps. Logos for a lot of my friends. The Photoshop pillow, which I have one at home. I don't have a Dimension one, but I saw one in the cafeteria that I may steal today because I'm leaving today. All the books were written by friends of mine. So Roberto Valenzuela, Dave Clayton, Bert Monroy, who's like my Photoshop hero. I think he was Photoshop user number 6. So like only 5 people have been using Photoshop longer than he has. And he's been using Photoshop since before Adobe owned it. So
he has been using it back when it was an actual shop.
Yeah,
Photoshop.
yeah, like you went into a building and
he was one of the he was the 5th customer through
exactly.
that door.
Right. We got oh look, I just saw her in the chat, which is why I'm pointing it out. I got a Plant Therapy by Claudia from Print My Soul. So like all my friends who have written books, I've added them in there. We have
these are great renders. Those books, like, this is no joke. This is hard. You realize rendering, and this is why you have the high-powered Windows machine too to handle some of this stuff.
Exactly. Just each of these images took about 8 hours. Some took longer, some took less, but on average it was about 8 hours to render. Eminem is my favorite musician, so I posted that CD there. You know, like photography, camera, my Adobe Max speaker badge. So this is actually the design for, I think it was 2016, which was the first year that I spoke at Max. So that's there. My good friends, Sandria and Dinah from Adobe Stock. I added them in there, good friends of mine. And yeah, so everything there relates to like a friend or a passion.
Kind of looks like is this your ideal apartment? Kind of.
You know what? People have asked that, and to be honest, I wouldn't want to live like in a skyscraper. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it would be a pretty sweet apartment. I'll give you that.
I'm there.
Wacom tablet, cell phone, a whole bunch of stuff in there. So yeah, so that's what I meant about Easter eggs. Because when I first started this project, I wanted to see, because most of the time when you see an Adobe Dimension project, it would be like a coffee cup on top of a table, and that's your render. You might put your company logo or whatever on it. Yeah. So I was thinking, I want to push this to the next level. How can I push this?
Even though by the way, you still have your coffee cup on the table.
That is very true. That is very true.
You
just zoomed out.
Yeah, and the thing is, you just made the whole room.
Yeah. I was like, wait.
Oh yeah, and then everything else.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, and the cool thing about this is that like I'm not a 3D artist in the sense that I didn't model any of this. What I really did was just download ready-made 3D objects, and then I edited them somehow, like by either changing the texture or scaling them, rotating them, or whatever. But this is a great thing about this application, that you don't have to be a 3D artist to get results like this. Yeah,
and this is good. Just kind of like touch upon some of these 3D tools, just so you're aware of them, because when you do need them, hey, you know where to go. So.
Yeah. Did you want to show a few? Because I saw you popping that up there.
Oh, I just kind of like opening it just for.
All right, we don't have to.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, and what we're gonna work on today is my latest composite, which is actually not on Behance yet, but I have it on Instagram, which is down here somewhere. that one there. That's my latest composite, and it's also my current background on my desktop. So we're gonna work on recreating this, but we're gonna use different images. We're gonna search for them on Adobe Stock. I haven't really prepared the images, so it's gonna be kind of fun to like go through like the real process of creating something without having it prepared.
How long did it take to render like one scene? I'm sure it varied, but Norval's asking. For the room.
Dimension? Yeah, so an average of 8 hours per room. I think the fastest one was about like about 6 hours, and the longest one took about 11. But you know, it averaged it out to 8 and something.
And while it's rendering, you're sleeping probably.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So all these, I mean, that's why it took so long to finish, because each one of these files was rendered overnight. So like, I don't know, I think I have a total of 12. So it was like, you know, almost 2 weeks worth of rendering. And the problem was that sometimes I would catch a mistake, like, oh man, the book wasn't really touching the table, it's floating, and you could see that it's floating. So I would have to change that, or I would see, like, for example, like the corner of the book going into another book. So like I would obviously have to re-render those. So I had to re-render a couple files.
And that's just nature of the beast. You're gonna render. That's why you do these renders. You're gonna see something that was screwed up, and you got to re-render. That's your life. I feel like doing that stuff. By the way, I think this is important just on the 3D note, because we did acquire a company, Algorithmic. So we'll see what happens, you know, in this space. So Algorithmic enables you to sort of. It deals a lot with textures on 3D objects. So we'll see what happens there. It's cool. And
I don't know if we're going to be able to get to it later, but I just want to point out that recently Adobe had this contest where you would take dimension and use 3D assets to create something. The gallery's still up, and they're free assets, and they're really, really cool. So I'll just copy that link and paste it in the chat so that you guys can have access to that if you're interested on. And I'm pasting it now, so you'll see it there. Oh, look how cool is that? There we are.
Okay, good. Yay.
Yeah, yay. So I'll just go back to that and show you guys. It's just a bunch of 3D assets from NASA that are really cool. So if you want to make something in dimension using planets or these rovers and, you know, satellites, astronauts, and things like that, you can just download them into your Creative Cloud library. They're free, and then just play around with them in dimension.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Are we ready to get started with Photoshop? I think we are.
Yeah, and welcome everyone. Welcome. Jesus is in chat. I see.
Yeah, there I am in chat. And look, it wasn't a clickable link. That sucks.
So we'll also do a chat and win giveaway here in about 20 minutes. But other than that, yeah.
All right, let's do it. So we're gonna recreate this composite using brand new images, and we're gonna start with Adobe Stock, obviously. But first, I'm just gonna create a document. Then I'll make a document that's not too big so that it's easy to work with. So I don't know, we'll probably do like 1920 by 1080 or something, you know, something that we could use for like a YouTube cover thumbnail. So there it is, that's our document. And actually one thing I do want to mention is under Control N, I gotta plug myself. If you click on under photo, and you'll see these, oh, I guess I'm not connected to the Creative Cloud. Usually you can see templates. That's weird.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Usually you can see templates under here, and I don't know if you have it under yours, but one of those templates was mine, and I was going to show it so you guys could download it, but for some reason it's not showing.
And that's really cool though.
And let me see if I'm connected to the internet. Yep, I'm connected to the internet, and it looks like my Creative Cloud is working. So I'm not really sure why oh, there we go. I guess I needed to do it again. No?
What is it under photo?
It's under photo.
Oh yeah, I'm having the same issue. I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah. I do have it saved, but if you go under photo, you should be able to see the templates, and the interlocking geometric shapes is the one that
I've used that one. There's a couple, there's two of those. So there's that one and then there's this one.
Yeah.
But
so mine is that one.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And of course, you can find out more about it on my Behance page.
Nice.
Yeah, so usually that's what it looks like. You click on photo and you can see the templates, and then you would click on it and then just, you know, download it, and you can use it. But anyway, so back to Photoshop.
Ooh, thank you.
Wait, what was that?
Prince Jengra is just asking about the difference between points and pixels.
Oh, wow. Wow, I don't know. I don't think I've ever used points for anything.
Well, so the thing is it's used interchangeably. points. Let's see.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same.
Somebody Google it.
Yeah.
Come on, usually Tim Googled it. Tim's the guy who's like, I asked something and
Yeah.
but anyway, so good question. Usually
Yes,
it's treated
really good
the
question.
same way, but either way you go with pixels. Is typically where it depends on your output though, really.
Yeah.
And what you think in. If you come from a print background,
Yeah,
you know it's for
exactly.
print, you're going to do inches.
Yeah.
But in this case, you're keeping it flexible, as seeing as it's pretty
Exactly.
large but still manageable.
That's right. Points are commonly used in print design. That's what Tim said.
But I want to know is what size is a point? Is it
Cloudy from Print My Soul said points are for type.
Yeah. Well, then why is it a document?
I'm not sure. That's
dimension.
a good question.
So, yeah, it's a good question.
All right.
You do see points with type.
Points,
Either way.
I guess, equals InDesign stuff.
I love it. I love Ryan because Ryan's like, this is just real world talk. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I totally get you.
Right.
You're exactly right. So yeah, cool. Let's continue. I'm sure somebody will post a long
Sarai
definition.
Alvarez. Hola, Jesús Ramirez. Points indicate the size of the font. All right. We're gonna move on to the next step, which is finding our images. So again, I'm just gonna recreate this using completely different images. So I think the first step would be to just find a skyline. So I will just type on Adobe Stock skyline and see what comes up. And I'm gonna need your help here, Paul, just because I don't want to spend too much time deciding on what images to use.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. So
Yeah.
so it's very interesting. Like, do you pick one that's maybe color treated or not? I wouldn't want it color treated, really.
Best case scenario, no. That way I can apply my own color treatment.
Yeah,
But
something dramatic would be awesome.
something dramatic.
This is gonna be really fun.
Yeah, like.
So
let's see.
there's all
If you
sorts
see
of cool
something
ones.
there,
there's like this. That one looks cool. I'm looking for a clean sky.
Clean sky.
You
All
might
right,
need it.
we'll save it to
And that one's nice.
my creative
I
Adobe
like
Live.
that one better.
This one, all right, we'll save it there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And also, like, I'm looking for, like, not necessarily the same time of day, but where the sun, like, I don't want the sun to be like on the top because then the lighting would change a lot. You know what I mean? So like maybe if the sun is on the side, yeah. I mean, this would be kind of cool. I guess we could use these two.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
So we'll see how that works. Is it not letting me? Let me just open it up.
Yeah, there's so many nice images.
Yep. Let me see if it made it through onto the Adobe Live library. Okay, so we got the first one in. There it is. You can just bring it in like so. Oh, and something I did on the original one, like I didn't work on it, with the horizon tilted. I worked on it with the straight horizon, then I tilted it afterwards because it was just easier to work with. That way.
And it's so cool that way. I feel like that could have been, you could have actually gone with it straight, like horizontal, but that angle adds so much drama to it.
So for some reason, this one's not showing up, so maybe we'll have to select another one. Let's see. This one's super cool, but it's really wide angle, so I don't know if it'll work. And actually, in a lot of my composites, this is actually what I spend the most time with, looking for like the right image.
I know.
So maybe this one?
Yeah, that's a good one. And you're trying to match one of your first images too? Because you're going to do the two-sided thing with different buildings?
Yeah. So that one had a similar color treatment. I mean, not 100% the same, but it's got some yellows in there. The light's coming from the side. And then we have the Empire State Building, which would be like a focus point. And then we have the Needle Tower on this one, which could be the focus point on the other side.
Yeah, into it.
So then I can just flip it vertically. And notice how the light's coming from the left. The light's coming from the left here as well. So then that could work. So we'll just add it there and see what happens.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a good. This is fun. I love this stuff.
You know what? I was trying to remove part of the sky. So I'm wondering what Adobe Sensei will do if I just click on select subject. I'm wondering if it'll select the city or not, which is what the subject is.
Oh yeah, any bets? Any bets here?
Let's see.
I know it's gonna select the Space Needle.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure about the water. I'm not sure about the mountains.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say it's gonna grab the city.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Let's see.
So if you have a
Come
selection
on,
tool.
Adobe Sensei. Yeah, so if you have the quick selection. Oh, wow. It only grabbed the Space Needle. Yeah, this is a very hard one. 'Cause it's also flipped, you know?
You're kind of asking it to read your mind.
Yeah.
Like, hey, read my mind.
Now I'm
'cause I
curious
want
to
the
see what would
whole-
happen if, let me bring it in again.
No, you don't, Huxel. You better not. We purchase our images because it's
Yes, we
like
do.
stealing money from your fellow designer.
Yep.
Because you could submit, Huxel and Jen and everyone, like,
Yeah.
these are your photos, right? So
Exactly.
you're selling them, you're getting the money for these. Like, it's funny because it says Adobe Stock, but I wish it almost said, you know, Jesús Ramirez.
Yeah.
Like, this is his photo.
Yeah.
And make it personal. Because
Yeah.
you're, like, taking money out of somebody's pocket that had to freaking, who knows, rent a helicopter? I don't know what they did to take this shot.
Who knows?
Were you going to license these?
I am. Yeah, but first I need to make sure that it'll work
Oh,
for the
that
design.
you're okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Just because, you know, I don't want to spend my credit if it's an image that I'm not going to need. So that's actually one of the advantages of working with Adobe Stock, that you can bring in all these assets and you just license the ones that work for your project. Otherwise, you can just, you know, delete them and forget about them. So you don't have to spend money on things that you don't need.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was really interesting. The select subject on this image only selected like that part of the building.
Yeah, exactly. But I like that we're pushing it and seeing what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. I mean, it's really difficult to find what is the subject. You know, maybe like you said, maybe the space. You know, but who knows?
It's like reading your mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, Holly, a couple questions concerning, you know, manipulating large images and stuff like that. If you're doing large format printing and things, first off, get the fastest computer that you can, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look at the minimum system requirements, but those are the minimum system requirements. It's between that and your budget.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you're gonna end up.
Like I always tell, when people ask me what's the best computer for Photoshop, the most powerful you can afford.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And different people have different budgets, and you know, if you can afford a more expensive one, more powerful one, then go for it. If you can't, that's fine. Just get whatever you can, you know.
And then somebody else asked about like what size would you go with when you're creating a banner image? And I almost want to say like creating a huge banner, maybe not use Photoshop.
Right.
Like you depending on what the project requires, it might mean Illustrator, it might mean InDesign.
Right.
And then are you making images to plug into that very large format thing?
Exactly. If you're
Because you've had that experience too, making, right? You were telling me, was it yesterday or the day before? You were working in Photoshop, kind of at a smaller format, but when you got it back and it was printed out like huge.
Oh, right.
You noticed some of.
Yeah, so I actually had a print of this thing that I wanted to bring in here, and once I scaled it to a larger format, it just didn't look bad. So I need to like recreate it, make a couple adjustments so that I can print it out and it looks as nice as it looks here. Because when I originally created it, I just created a smaller file, probably as big as the one that I'm working now, just because I was doing it for fun, trying to see what it looked like, and yeah, obviously it didn't quite work. And actually, what's that?
No, just Larry's comment about buy the image to remove the watermark. Hey, you want a trick for removing the watermark? Buy it.
Buy it, yeah. Exactly. So I think I didn't even show what I did there, but basically what I did is I just made a selection with the quick selection tool that select the sky from, I'll just call this layer top. That way we know that's the top layer, and this won't be the bottom layer. So make it easy for us to know what we're dealing with. So with the top layer selected, I just created that selection, and I'm just going to make sure I have all of this selected and then just create a layer mask. If I hold Alt-Option on the Mac, it creates an inverted mask, which means it'll hide what you have selected. Otherwise, it will keep what you have selected. I don't know if that's clear or not, but that's what it does. So now I can start playing around. At this point, I think that these images are going to work, so I think I'm just going to license them, right? It looks like they'll work.
Looks good picks.
Yeah, man, that was quite fast actually. And I mean, I know it's not necessary for me to license this, but maybe, you know, I'm already thinking of like how much space I'm gonna need in between both cities. So I'll just license them now. And to license an image, you need to make sure that the cloud icon is still active. Like as long as the images are not flattened, they're not unlinked from the Creative Cloud, you can license them.
Yeah. I was just pointing to it on the screen.
It's right there, yeah. There it is. So
perfect.
And I can do that cool little trick that I just learned.
Oh yeah, zip.
There it is.
I love it.
There it is. So right click, and select license image. And then this little window should come up and it'll tell me, I think it tells me how many licenses I have and if I really want to use it. Yeah, so it says I will use one of my 112 licenses to get this image. I want to do that. Click confirm. And Photoshop is going to start downloading the image. You can see the download button there. Look at me all fancy with my zooming in. It's already downloaded. See that? Now we have that.
Mm-hmm. That was actually really super quick. Yep. I think on the point of image sizes and stuff like that. Actually, what size is this? The dimensions of this?
Of this document, or
yeah,
this document is 1920 by 1080.
1920 by 1080.
Yep.
I would probably go like, I don't know. It's up to you. Maybe you go larger. Maybe go smaller. Yeah. Like for the case of this demo.
Yeah. So I just wanted to keep it small so that we could, work a little bit faster. Yeah.
But that's something to keep in mind depending on what you're doing. Obviously, even this high res version is of a certain size. Mm-hmm. They're all pretty large, but just be aware of it, I guess.
Right. Right.
And all those details are on in the browser. And I think if you right click, you'd be able to, review that image on the website.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So if you
do your thing.
Yeah. So if you go to the properties panel and you click on one of the Adobe Stock images, you have this thing right here labeled Adobe Stock file, and you can click on that. When you click on it, it should bring up the browser with that particular file, and it'll give you more information like the dimensions of that file, the file type, what categories under, and maybe I like this image, but it's not really the image that I need. I want to find something similar. I can click on Find Similar, and Adobe Stock will bring up similar images that we could use. So if this one that ended up not working, I can select any one of these others to use for our project.
Yeah.
All right, so that's looking pretty good already. I've been saying this whole time. Like, I don't really worry about these type of mistakes yet. That's like my last step. I know I'm going to keep the Space Needle, so maybe I'll fix that. But I don't like spending too much time on things that that I'm not sure I'm going to be needing. So there we go.
Yeah, just
be super quick about it.
Yeah.
There we go. Actually, I thought that antenna was longer, but I guess it's not. There we go.
Jim White loves it. Good to hear.
Fancy. All right. So at this point, all I want to do is just get all my elements in the image. So, by the way, always save. So I'm going to save it in the desktop. So I have this habit of always saving things, just because I've had the bad luck of live upside down. I had the bad luck of losing a lot of work. Because I didn't save often enough. So once it happens to you 2 or 3 times, you definitely get into that habit of Command S to save or Control S to save on Windows. But anyway, so now we gotta find like our falling guy. So let's go into Adobe Stock and I'm just gonna type in like jumping person, because I want somebody that that's like in midair, so that their feet are not on the ground, so you can see their clothes sort of like moving. So jumping person, and let's see what we get. Right now the reason that we got all these images is because we were using that Seattle photo, so it found people that were jumping in front of a city. So isn't that cool?
Actually, yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yep. So that's not really what I want to do. So I'm just going to go back into like the main home page, and I'll just do jumping person again. And obviously the results now are going to be way different since they're not using that Seattle photo as reference. Anything you like here?
I almost like, is it somebody jumping or someone, it could be jumping or falling.
Falling?
Might be a, some of these people are just too happy. And I like the drama in your photo. Like the guy's like, it's like he purposely fell backwards or jumped or elevated or something.
So maybe falling.
Yeah, let's see if we find.
Oh, this guy's definitely
like
falling.
That stuff is cool.
Which one?
I do have. Well, the whole idea of that one is kind of fun. I actually.
You have one?
Let me.
Oh, we have this. Okay, this one. This guy here.
And then I would sometimes do like on white. Do you ever?
Yeah. We talked about yesterday. Isolated.
Isolated.
So if you use the keyword isolated, it'll bring images that have a flat background, usually white.
I know I have.
This is actually kind of funny. I don't know if we want to go that route.
Yeah. Oh, looks like some other things that are happening right now. We have some fireworks in the background. What? It's time for Chat and Win, everybody. Let's do it right now. Perfect. Welcome back. And what that animation was all about is it's time for Chat and Win. Say something in chat. Maybe where you're from, I guess,
where
since
you from?
we're doing cities.
Where are you from, Paul?
If you're looking for a subject. I'm from Pueblo, Colorado. And now I live in Denver, Colorado, 2 hours away from where I grew up.
Nice, nice. I was born in Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico, but I've lived most of my life in Alameda, California, which is not very far from here.
Nice. That's cool. Chicago, get some people in Chicago, Miami. We're going to draw a name at random, and guess what
Detroit.
you get? How many stickers?
Germany, Seattle.
So many stickers. 100. I remembered this time. It just blows me away. It's a lot of stickers.
Colombia.
Colombia's in the house. Doubt Force Word.
UK, Pasadena, California, Detroit, Chicago, Egypt, Dallas.
Manchester. Mice. That's not a place.
Leche.
Congratulations to Bob Hinch from...
Wait, you said Nice? That's not a place? Nice, California. That's a place, isn't it?
Oh, is it really?
I think there's a place
And
called
well,
Nice, California, if
Nice,
I'm not mistaken.
Nice, France.
Or
too,
Nice,
France. Which is spelled similar, too.
Yeah.
But here we have Bob's our winner of the 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. Congratulations, Bob.
Philly in the house.
From Kansas City, Missouri. That's where he's from.
Indiana,
No, I don't know where he's from.
Yeah.
I'm making up stuff. But everybody's kind of a winner because we also have this URL. This will give you 10 stickers for $1.
Oh, look, Adobe Live is from San Francisco.
So that's right. Good to see them here in the same
local
room.
Yeah, in the same room.
But play around with Photoshop. You literally make whatever you want. And for $1, you can knock out 10 stickers through Sticker Mule.
Puerto Rico. Nice.
Into it.
Buenos Aires. All right, we got people from all
So
over
these
the
are
place.
fun.
But I think you said you had one that you...
I got...
Oh, that was cool.
Apparently this is Dancer, but I like those are so dramatic. I think I have a couple other. So that's why I might be able to send these to you.
Why don't we do it? That way people can see how this works.
There's not as...
See, so this is in Paul's computer now, and he's got some dancers. He's got some drama going on there.
What was I doing?
And
She was swinging. She was on a swing.
Yeah.
This is a good one too.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so let me, so what I could do is, I'm gonna just create a new Creative Cloud library and share this with you.
Yeah.
So what we do, we will collaborate. I'll start dropping images in here. You pick whichever one you want. You can continue to work on that if you want to, because I don't want to show your email.
Yeah, don't my email, my social security number. Yeah, I know you require all of that.
That's okay. Grand finale.
So what I'll do now is I want to keep a little bit of that that sky, and maybe I'll match it later. Like again, like when I'm working, like right now I'm really working. I've never worked with these images before, so I really have to like try something, see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then try something else. So one of the things that I want to do here is just bring back some of that original sky, just so we can have that atmosphere and that depth. So I'm just gonna paint with white on back here and just sort of bring some of that back, and we get that mountain. See how I'm just blending those pixels in, and it's doesn't look as sharp anymore. It looks a little more realistic, and obviously I'm gonna have to do some color matching, but
looks good.
It just looks a little bit better. Also, something I usually do, and I'm gonna delete the background because I don't need it. I'm just gonna delete it so I can have more real estate. What I was gonna say is, what I usually like to do is create a new black and white adjustment layer on top of all my composites so that I can remove the color and I could see the luminance values of the image. So if this were a real photo, obviously all the luminance values would match. So there wouldn't necessarily be something that's way too dark and something that's way too bright. So everything will have around the same level of luminosity. And what I mean by that is if you look at the shadows on the buildings here, they're much darker than the shadows of the buildings at the bottom. So I would need to match that. So I either make the buildings at the bottom darker or the ones on top brighter. So that's a decision that I'm gonna have to make. And I think that for this example or this composite, I'm going to make the ones on top brighter just because I like the luminance values of the ones on the bottom better. So I'll create a levels adjustment layer, and I can use levels to change the brightness of something. And with this little icon here, I can clip it to the layer below, right here, which means that this adjustment layer will only affect the sky or the buildings on top. And I can use the black point to set how dark the darkest pixel of this image will be, or this layer rather. So you can see I'll zoom out one level so it's easier for you guys to see. And I'll go up. So the black point sets how dark something is. So if you leave it here all the way to the left, it'll be completely black, obviously. But you can move it to the right so that the darkest point is now a dark shade of gray. So what that means is that in the image, notice the shadows. Look at the shadows. See how the shadows are getting brighter? And at some point, the image would just be completely white if I drag it all the way to the right. Because now Photoshop is, we're telling Photoshop that the darkest pixel should be white, and then the brightest pixel is also white, then everything is white. So that's how this works. So you can just drag this to the right and just try to make sure that the black and white image matches in terms of contrast and luminosity. So maybe something like that. I also like to set the layer to luminosity so that we only affect the luminance values and not the color. So you can see the before and after. See that? Just by making that simple adjustment, it just looks a little more realistic.
Yeah. And
what I meant by luminance values and changing the blending mode is that when you make an extreme adjustment in Photoshop like this one, notice how I'm also affecting the saturation of the image and the colors of the image. But if I change the blending mode, I only affect the luminance values, which is what I want to do. So normal, luminosity. So luminosity works better only when you want to affect the luminance values of the image. So yeah, that's looking pretty good.
And I think do you think I feel like that's the first thing I notice is when the blacks don't match.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you could clearly see they pasted in that person and the blacks are black and the image in the background. So you're definitely selling it.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, when you see something in black and white, it looks good. But now that I see the color again, I might just bump it up just a little bit more, not too much more. And then I think the whites are fine. I don't necessarily see any like really, really bright highlights, so I'll just move the whites over to the left just a tiny bit. So before and after. So it's helping sell the effect more. There's a lot of ways that we can color match an image, and I'm gonna try a technique that I don't know if it's gonna work for this image. And if it doesn't work,
I love it.
Then I'll show you in an image that it works with. And that's the thing, right? When you're working, for real without like I think you used this phrase earlier, like doing a live tutorial, because it's not really a live tutorial. Although I'm explaining it, I'm experimenting as I'm explaining.
Yeah, you don't even know how this is going to come
right,
out, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah. So I'm going to try something. This is literally what I would do. I would try this technique, and if it doesn't work, I will just try something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So going to create. What's going on? Oh.
Yeah, you create your thing. I want you to check and see if you got that invite
on my
CC
email,
libraries.
correct?
Yeah. Yes. Or if you have your Creative Cloud desktop app.
I do have it. Here it is.
So.
Any notification?
Oh, there we
here
go.
Paul. Oh, accept.
Boom. So that's going to sync. While that's syncing, by the way, so open up your libraries. It should appear there in a second. But while that's happening, I wanted to review the winner from yesterday.
All right, let's check them out. Oh my God.
Yeah, check it out. Congratulations to Bob Hinch.
Arsenal, nice.
Yes. Bob Hinch, the whole goal was to turn yourself or someone into a superhero. And this is Bob's version.
That's really cool. It's sort of like a Falcon version of a Arsenal player.
Looks like it says Falcon Maitland-Niles.
Maitland-Niles. I'm not familiar with that player. I'm sure somebody in the chat would probably say, "Oh yeah, that's so and so," but I don't know Arsenal players.
It's great, huh?
Yeah.
Because he had to Photoshop.
Well, you know what?
The legs, the arm, like most of his body.
Super cool. And you know what I really like about it too is the depth on it created by that overlay. We kind of talked about overlays yesterday with snow and particles and things like that.
Exactly right.
So that's super
These little
cool.
Flecks and
yeah,
things.
there's a lot of depth, which I really, really like.
Totally agree. That takes it to like another level.
And you were talking about the, like the contrast, and if something's too bright or too dark, you see the wings, how one of them is not as dark as the other because there's probably like smoke. So there's that atmospheric perspective going on. So it's super cool.
Good placement. There's so many things that are good
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, I like that he's at the bottom left, but he's kind of rising. You know what I mean?
And that's what you need. It needs a place to go, like concerning motion. He's not in the very center.
Yeah.
He's, in fact, I don't know what he's attacking or looking at off screen, but something just happened in one of the.
And I can just see like a logo or line of text on top, describing what's going on.
Yeah, that is good. Perfect. Well, congratulations, Bob Hinch. You win Creative Cloud for a year. That's added to your current membership, and that was from yesterday. Today's all about portfolio reviews. I saw somebody say they want us to look at your portfolio. Submit it. It's
and we'll look at it. Yeah.
That tab, and again, it's just right over here.
Show them there. Show them.
Right. Zoop. Portfolio review.
There it is.
And just submit it,
Submit your portfolio.
In about an hour, 50 minutes, we'll go ahead and pick a couple of those.
Yeah, so we're back. And my good friend Paul Tranny had some awesome images in his Creative Cloud library. He created
I just kind of found them. We still need to license them because that's one thing. Even though I shared a library, I can't, just because I buy an image doesn't mean I can give it away to everybody. But I think I found some good ones. I know you're, those are syncing. Or?
No, I have them synced on my library now. So these are the ones that you put in that library. So from his computer, he created a Creative Cloud library, added those photos, and then shared them with me using my Adobe ID, which is my email. And then I got that invite, as you guys saw on the Creative Cloud app, which is here. And I just accepted it. Once I did, the library was added into my Creative Cloud library. You can see the little icon there showing there's like two little people there. Like, see? Two friends.
Boop, boop.
Yep.
Hey, buddy, I got some stuff for you.
Yep. And then those came in, and here they are. There we go. Oops. There we go. There they are. So which one do you like? This one seems kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Actually, I don't like it as much.
The dress is almost like too much.
Yeah.
Some of these look a little staged. I do like these white ones. I think I like that, either that one or the one in the middle there.
Oh, that was cool. I like that one.
Might be kind of tricky because she's wearing white and you need to extract her from the background. She has hair. Any one of these will be fun.
Let's do it, man.
It's a fun little challenge.
It's a challenge. Yeah, I like challenges. All right, so I'm gonna let's see which pose I like better, and then I'll.
Yeah.
That's the same one. And that one's cool too. Let's see.
That one almost looks like it hurts.
Yeah, I think we'll go with the first one. Yeah, you can see her face. I mean, I say we go for the challenge, man, because why not? All right, so what I'll do is I'll license the image. Let me just think about how I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'll license the image, and I'll work. We talked about it yesterday. There's already a lot of layers here, and I don't want to confuse myself. So I'm just going to take her into a new tab, work on it there. Once I have her extracted, I'm going to bring her into the composite.
Good call.
Just because I get confused so easily. I'm talking, explaining, so it will be a mess. So so now the watermark has been removed. That means that we have the full resolution. You can see the blue check mark here. And if I double click on the thumbnail, it opens up in a new tab, and look at the file. The size is like a high res file now. So there's a lot of ways in which I could extract this, and Paul and I really like to test Adobe Sensei, so we'll try the select subject technique once again and see and that's actually not bad. I mean, did a really good job.
Considering you had to do nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even have time to sit. I was gonna sit back and watch, and I mean, it only missed that part. Yeah. So I'm gonna hold Alt, which is Option on the Mac, and I'm just going to subtract a couple things. But overall, it's pretty good. So that already looks really good, right there. Pretty good.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna refine it by double clicking on the thumbnail. If you've never used Selected Mask, which actually I think I mentioned this is a new computer, so I don't think I had used Selected Mask in this computer yet. So I'm going to click on Enter Selected Mask, and there it is. I'm going to change the view so that we can see it on, I don't know, what would be cool, like on black maybe or something?
Yeah, something darker for sure.
And increase the opacity. And we can see what we have. What I'll do is I'll smooth the selection, maybe contrast, maybe a little bit of feather, and I'll start by maybe shifting the edge And the reason that I'm not working with the hair yet is because I'm not really worried about it. I'm more worried about her body, and then I'll come back and work on the hair.
Yeah.
And I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't really like working on these little fine details to the end, but I don't know if we're gonna have time for that, so I'm just gonna quickly try to make it look presentable.
Yeah, totally. You go to town.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like Carol says she worked on an image just like this. Blonde hair on white. Again, it's one of the more challenging things to do.
Yeah.
We'd love to see it as part of your portfolio. If you just submit your portfolio, that is your Behance portfolio. Submit that link and we'll check that stuff out in about less than 45 minutes.
Yep.
Hello from Tajikistan.
Wow.
Welcome to you, my friends.
So something that I like showing people is like I used all these sliders that control the edges of the image. And if you want to know what I mean by edges, you can click on show edge and it should show them, but it didn't there for some. Oh, I had the radius down to 0. So I'm not really going to increase the radius now to adjust the edges because I'm going to work with that separately. Basically what I'm trying to say is I was working on the edges of her body, which are like the smooth edges. And then I press OK. And then I go back into it and then I work with the hair. Now because then if I start working with the hair before pressing OK, then those settings are applied to the hair. You know what I mean? So like in those adjustments work great for her body, but they don't work good for her hair.
Do you sometimes pardon the term, but like chop off her head?
Yeah.
Right? And use that as a separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that in this case it would work, but I don't know. We'll see.
For like a quick job, I mean, and we're asking you to do this like now. Yeah. So in some cases you might be able to get away with it, but normally you would. Yeah, what would you do if you had more time?
Yeah, so if I had more time, basically...
And that's looking really good for quick and
for
fast.
like a little quick thing, yeah. So basically what I would do is what you suggested. So I would duplicate the layer and I would just, like make a selection like this, like covering her hair. Mm-hmm. And then basically I would just work with that.
Yeah.
And, disregard everything else. In some cases, actually, to be quite frank with you, it's more like this.
Okay, gotcha.
If I'm really being...
Well, you do your thing. Like, let us just watch you work or do whatever you want.
So, you know what? In case I need it, I'll just leave that there.
Yeah, I think you should.
But, she's looking pretty okay there. And I've been mentioning this before. Like, I don't know... Like, I may not have to worry about those pixels behind her hair because I don't know where I'm going to place her in front of. So if she's in front of a bright background, it might not even matter.
True.
So...
Good point.
I'm just gonna work with what I have now and I'll just bring her right in here, drop her in, press OK, and there she is. Now it's the matter of where are we going to place her. And I'm just gonna scale her down. Maybe I have the other image, I have the person on the left. I guess I'll put the person in the right this time. So what do you think? Something like, I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah. Huh.
She is falling, but then...
I think she's falling. Which direction? I don't know.
Or maybe something like that. What do you guys think?
I'm looking at the direction of her eyes.
Yeah.
I like her upside down, personally.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I don't know. Thoughts? And you're probably going to rotate it? Like, do this
yeah,
at an
I'm going to
angle in
rotate the background, yeah. But I want to work with the background like this. That way I get it correct. And once it's done, I'm just going to do the same rotation. So somebody said her hair is going up, but like that's the point. We have two gravities, right? So which gravity is
yeah, she's like stuck in the middle.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think she might also be just a little too big. So maybe make her a little tiny bit smaller. So I guess I'll place her here for now. And this is what I was talking about. See, like if I zoom in, like I really don't have to worry about that hair too much because he's up against that bright sky. So I don't have to worry about it, at least not yet. So what I'll do now is I'm gonna start working with color matching, and I talked about that color matching technique that I was gonna show and I didn't show it. So I'll do that now. So I'm just gonna, I like the color of that image, of the background image, so I'm gonna use that for everything else. So one way of matching colors is by creating a curves adjustment layer. clipping it to the layer below. And I talked about it, I think on Monday. Adobe hides the good stuff in the flyout menus. You see this little icon here? If I zoom in with that super cool technique that I just discovered right there, you have a flyout menu. That flyout menu gives you access to the auto options, which brings that up. If you want to be fancy, you can hold Alt option on the Mac and click on auto, and it brings up the auto options. By default, Adobe selects, Photoshop selects enhanced brightness and contrast as an algorithm that allows you to color correct an image. We don't want to necessarily color correct the image. We want to match it to something else. So I'm going to select fine, dark, and light colors. Now,
I'm sorry to just step back. How did you get? Is this level? What?
It's available in both levels and curves.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then in the properties panel, you can go into the auto options.
Fascinating.
Fascinating stuff, right? Now, I just did a mistake, and I noticed that you did it as well.
Oh, I didn't have something selected.
Yeah, we
Or what?
We need the focus on the thumbnail, not the mask.
Oh.
So the focus, this little white outline, needs to be on the actual curves adjustment layer. And we'll see how good attention Paul was paying. Do you remember the keyboard shortcut to switch the focus to? All right, so I'll give you a clue. So if the focus, the white outline, is on the layer thumbnail, you can press Control backslash to switch it over. See how that switched over? And there's also a keyboard shortcut to switch it back to the thumbnail, and I'm gonna hide it so Paul doesn't see, because I wanna know if he was paying attention. That brings it back.
All I'm doing is trying on my keyboard, so I'm cheating. Just the...
Here,
it might be different on a...
It's command, and then I'll give you a clue, a number.
0.
2.
1. 2.
2.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's what you said. You said 2.
2.
Yeah.
I said 2.
Yeah, you said 2. Yeah.
2 and then back. Okay, 2 backslash. Okay, nice.
Cool.
Love it.
Yeah. So Control or Command backslash to switch it over into the layer mask, or Control 2 to switch it to the layer thumbnail. So for this, we need the layer thumbnail selected, and then we can go into the auto options. So again, flyout menu, auto options, or auto while holding Alt or Option, and it brings up the color correction options. Then we can go into fine, dark, and light colors, and I can tell Photoshop what color the shadows are. So I can click on the shadows and just click on the shadows of, like, you know, the building, and press OK. And then I can tell Photoshop what color the highlights are. So then I can select the highlights of the background and see how it changed her highlights. Now the color matches a lot better. See that? And press OK. And I can change them if I want, but I think the colors that I selected.
Yeah, and you're not worrying about the contrast right now.
Not yet, no. So then I can press OK. And then Photoshop is going to ask me if I want to make those the default colors. I do not. To be frank with you, I can't think of an instance where you would. Maybe somebody in the chat can. I like having my default colors as black and white, and then me change them when I need to. So I'll select no. You were asking about the contrast. So notice that in the curves adjustment layer, Photoshop changed all the different channels to adjust the color. So the color matches. But now, the luminosity doesn't match. We have the same problem that we did with the previous guy. So we can use the curves, see that, to match the contrast. And I know curves are a little scary for some people. You can also use the same technique with levels, and you can use the sliders.
Okay.
But basically, with curves, when you create a point, you can think of it as a dimmer switch. You drag up, you add light, you drag down, you take away light. Simple as that. So I'm just going to create some points to reduce the, to add more contrast, excuse me, and then maybe the image is a little too bright, so I'll come down like right about here. Maybe I don't want her to be completely black, so I'll drag that point up. So I'm just fine tuning the image here.
Jen likes what you're doing.
Something like that. So there it is, before and after. And obviously we can keep playing around with the colors. Something that I'm glad we ended up with this pose is look at the highlight on her leg. It matches the scene. See that, how the sunlight is coming from the right? So we also get that strong highlight there, which is good.
And that's a good point, because that obviously influences what rotation she was at.
Yeah.
So we were playing with that, and maybe intuitively we were thinking,
well, that looks better. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, maybe, or maybe we just got lucky. We don't know.
We really don't know what we're doing.
We have no clue.
Trying to justify our decisions somehow.
Juliana from Italy. Hello.
Oh, Prince Jangra, are you just looking for questions to stump us? Talk about the difference between sRGB and RGB. Isn't sRGB a specific color monitor setting?
So
I'd have to check. I don't know.
RGB, as far as I understand it, RGB is just like, like the red, green, and blue channel, like color mode, and sRGB is the actual profile. So there's different profiles in RGB, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably specifically a color profile. You'll sometimes get that if you have documents that have one color profile with them, and you drag that image into. Yeah, that's when you get it.
Color space.
Yes, it's a color space of RGB. So it's a little more, think of the S as being more specific, I guess.
Yeah, and it's, if I'm not mistaken, sRGB was used on web images.
Probably. You're digging back in the recesses of your brain when you did web design. It hurts.
Yep. So there we go. So we got her in there. We have, and you know what? I'm going to start putting things into groups because I'll just call this woman. I'll call this background. I like to be organized. And I know it's not like the most exciting thing in the world for you guys to see what I'm like typing, but it's just, in my brain to like be organized. Only in Photoshop, though, not in my real life.
Your real life is just chaos.
Yeah, it's just chaos. And I also sometimes like to color code image layers just so that they stand out. So I'll make the background red. So I can right click and select the color, and it adds that color there, red. So now in my head, I know that if I'm looking for a background folder, I just look for the red, and my eye just goes straight there. For the woman, I'll select maybe go with yellow. So there we go. So we have her and we have the background. I think we should use the same color matching technique on the background, on the top part of the background, and see if it works. So I'll use levels now just so you can see the same technique with a different adjustment layer. So clip it to the layer below. Remember that the focus needs to be in the thumbnail, so the keyboard shortcut is?
2.
Yeah, Command 2.
Control or Command 2.
Or you can just click on it. I just like to remember random keyboard shortcuts that nobody ever will need for anything. Do you know, here, just because I just thought about it and I just did it there, and I had to try it first just to make sure I remembered it. Do you know how to select the bright pixels on an image? So like if I just wanted to select the bright pixels.
Of just her? Or everything?
Everything. Like maybe I want to create a curves adjustment layer that targets only the bright pixels of all the layers. I'll give you a clue. It's the first 2 keys that you press just now, Control 2 and then one more.
And Control 2 and Command, because I'm looking at your keyboard and I'm watching you press it.
Yeah, so Control Alt and then number 2 also selects all the bright pixels of an image. So like if I create like a solid background, you can see that. See how I just selected everything that's bright and whatever is not. Yeah. So anyway, that's a keyboard shortcut to select the bright pixels. And you can do the same thing by going into the channels panel, holding Control and just clicking on RGB.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. But like I said, I like to remember random things that probably it's easier to just go into the channels panel than
Tim says blend if, which we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
These are good. You guys are smart.
Yeah.
Tim's smart.
Select color range. Yep. Anyway, so I'm going to try that same technique with levels. And I'm going to hold Alt Option on a Mac, click on, oops, see, I forgot to switch the focus back in there. So Auto, find dark and light colors, and I'll select the same ones. I'll select like that dark brown, and I'll select like that same highlight. And in this case, it's not working as good as I wanted to, so maybe...
It's tough. I mean, it still looks good.
We'll work with that for now. I'll press OK. I don't want to make them my default colors. And then I can just, adjust.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like
it's a little more contrast.
How did you make this black and white?
I have a black and white adjustment layer on top of everything.
At the very top.
I always do that. Just have a black, because when you remove color from an image, it makes it easier to see the luminance values, obviously. So, I'm just playing around with the contrast just to try to make, because if you can get it good to look in black and white, it's a lot easier to make it look good in color, right? So maybe something like that.
Madison's wondering if there's any reason why you aren't doing midtones.
Like this slider, is that what she's
so,
referring to? Because I'm looking at the darkest and brightest color, and then I think of this as contrast. So then, I was trying to get the darkest colors right first and the brightest colors first. And,
that's good, though.
And then, at the end, select that one. And to be honest with you, I'm not liking how this image is looking 100%. So what I probably would do is try a different technique. We talked about earlier that in the real world, I would try this technique. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then try something else. So sometimes what I like to do is disable the layer and don't delete it. Try something else and see if it looks any better. If it doesn't, then continue fine tuning the first attempt. So for something like this,
and what I would say, I feel like there's more atmosphere in the picture below. So it's like, could you kind of just like sharpen or bring more darks in here, the bottom image?
Right. So like, you mean making more contrast in these?
Yeah. That's
yeah. I mean, I could do that. Let me try what I was gonna show, which was maybe selective color. Yeah, we'll do selective color. So then in the neutral, so this selective color allows you to select the color and then add or subtract different colors. And I know that sounds weird. I have a request for Adobe now that I'm here with you, Paul.
Yeah.
So
let me get my pen and paper.
Please. Yeah.
Okay.
Get to see you on the phone.
Shot new.
Okay.
I have
Okay. Hey man, what's up? No. So like with the color balance adjustment layer, you get this wonderful display that shows the relationship between cyan, red, magenta, green, yellow, and blue. But with the selective color, we don't get that wonderful display. So it's a little bit more difficult for people to understand. So you just have to remember that the opposite of cyan is red, the opposite of magenta is green, and the opposite of yellow is blue. And if you forget, always create that color balance adjustment layer and it's wonderfully displayed there. But anyway, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start adding maybe like yellows to the neutrals. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of yellow. Oh, I gotta clip it to the layer below so that I only affect that layer.
This is Nicole. Great point. Like making the water tie in, maybe the water in both images.
Yeah,
could have but that's like very good job.
When I'm sorry, I missed that.
She was just talking about making the water match. Like there's water here and then there's water down here. But that's like good. That's a good really point. I don't know if we'll work on it now, but like when you're ready.
And that's the point. You have to like look at all those details, and then like it pops out, and you're like, oh yeah, the water doesn't match. So then you match one or the other, right?
That's when somebody like walks by your desk and they're like, oh yeah, looks like you need to fix that water down there. You're like, how did you see that? Because you're in all these, who knows where you're, so you're in the midst of it.
I'm trying to adjust, the reds and the yellows to see if it can match it better. To be honest, to be doing it by hand, I don't think I'm doing a much better job anyway. So I probably will keep the original one and we'll just work with that, because what I'm gonna do at the end probably is what we did with your suggestion yesterday, which was create a, and I'll do it now just to see if it's gonna work, a color lookup layer. And there's one in here that sort of has that same look. I'll see if I can find it. One of these guys, where would it be? Looks so weird. I thought we had one in here that.
There's an edgy amber.
That's the one I was looking for. Edgy amber. Oh wow, that looks so weird. Maybe not.
Wait, is it? Okay, and it's not being clipped or anything.
Yeah, no, that's super weird.
That's not what.
No, that's not what it's supposed to do.
That doesn't even seem like it's.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right at all.
No. See, and I don't know what the problem is. See, like, we can try it on this document and then see if it gives us the same result, which it won't, because I know what edgy amber looks like. Yeah, it looks like that. So, I don't think we have anything clipped, and if I put it at the very, very top and then, just add, so it's, so, and do I have, it's a PSD document, it's RGB 8-bit. So weird.
I like going through this process though, by the way. If something's wrong, like what do you do?
Yeah, and to be honest, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna close it, save it, and open it again. Maybe it's just like
perfect. This is real world working stuff. This is what I think is really good.
And this happens all the time. Like this sort of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, see?
Solved it.
There we go.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Anna Brackett likes it. Hello, Anna. Fellow Coloradoan.
Hey.
Thank you for that, though, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
this is live. I like
Yeah.
things going wrong and then how you troubleshoot it. 'Cause
Right.
You checked color mode.
So I checked the color because not everything works on CMYK. So maybe I accidentally created a CMYK document, or for whatever reason, maybe I accidentally made a 16 or 32-bit document. So all of those are useful color modes and bit channels for something else. For some, they don't have all the filters available, all the adjustment layers. So my concern was that I accidentally created something using those settings, and then that wasn't working. But sometimes things get glitchy, you know?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I just closed the file and opened it again, and it worked.
That's like what Tim says. Have you tried turning it off and on again, like in quotes?
Yeah.
Because that's if
Yeah,
you ever
like,
call tech support, they're like, "Hey, is it plugged in?
Yeah, it's
hey, let's just try a quick restart.
Let's just do that. Let's just do that. So let me just delete this adjustment layer, and with this one here, I'm not very happy with it. And since I was like playing around with all those things, what I'll do is I'll just reset it, and I'll try it again. And a lot of people seem to think that in Photoshop there's like a magic button that just does everything for you, and they don't realize how much tinkering there is, how much you're just playing around, finessing and things like that. And actually, I just thought about and I'm sorry, I forget the person's name who talked about the water. I think I'm going to do something about that now. And I talked about this technique yesterday, Paul. We'll see if it works, which is creating a black and white adjustment layer, which of course makes everything black and white. You can click on this little icon here, and you can click on the water. See that? See how I'm now just making the cyans brighter? But what I'll do is change the blending mode to luminosity, and this trick came from my good friend Mark Heaps. And I'm just gonna make that water brighter, like that. So hopefully trying to match that area. And I'm also affecting other things in the image, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just invert the layer mask, make it black, paint with white on the water, just to try to brighten that up. And maybe I can just duplicate that to actually it doesn't look that good. So I won't do that. So just a little brighter. And we'll see if that works. Okay, not quite the same, but
oh no, you're doing great.
I'm trying.
And I wasn't even laughing at you, but Alberto Silva wants you to. Did you see that comment?
Wait, Alberto Silva.
Turn the water into wine.
Oh.
we're not trying to make it red.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're funny.
That's awesome. Actually, now that that person mentioned the water, now it's bothering me. This is what happens when you guys make comments like that point out obvious things that I have to fix it. I'm not gonna go too crazy. I'm just gonna try to just make it brighter and something like that. And also, you know what? Why don't we do this?
That is looking. That's.
I'm gonna add one more layer, and I'm just gonna select see, because there's this orange color that's not really found on here. Or maybe, you know what? It is what I'll do. I'm just gonna create this layer, and then change the blending mode to color. And that's already looking a little bit better. I'll use blend diff, not to affect the dark pixels. Hold Alt, Option and the Mac to split those in half. And we talked about the blend diff, I think, on day one. So anyway, so I'm trying to match it as best as I can, and it might take a few tries to do it. And also I'm thinking of adding a really bright highlight on the right. So I guess I'll do that now. So
yeah, that'll be good, because you kind of need that whole landmass to the right needs to be brighter. So this is smart.
So this is how I create my highlights. See how I just created a layer that just has those colors there? It'll be super bright, and that's our sun. And I'm just gonna place it here on the right, maybe transform it.
And I feel like you might do some of these little effects. I don't know if you call them tricks, but sort of lens flares, or it's what Bob Hinch did earlier with the you know, whatever sparkles in front.
Right.
You know, kind of like adding some of those details helps sell it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As a unit.
For sure. And the winner of the challenge,
Bob.
he used a lot of depth too. So like I could start adding maybe like particles or birds or like, you know, depth in the image to like also hide some of those imperfections.
That's cool.
So maybe we'll add some birds. Anyway, so that was the sun here, and I don't know where it's gonna go, but it's gonna go somewhere here. I just wanted it in there just to kind of like help me understand how the composite is coming along. And we have our little edgy amber, and I guess I probably should like maybe reduce the opacity now and like really get it going. Something I'm not too happy with is how much blue there is on this background image on the top layer. So look at all those adjustment layers, and I'll just put those into like one single group so that it's easier to manage. Top. And you know what? We're gonna have to get rid of some of those blues, man. I'm not liking them, so I'm just gonna create a hue and saturation adjustment layer under the drop down under masters. I can select blues or cyans. I don't know. We'll just go to blue, see what happens, and just reduce their opacity.
That's smart.
Maybe cyans. See if I can. Nah, it's really not taking. But let me see if I click here. Yeah, it's blue. See that? Maybe. Yeah. So I'm gonna shift the color to like yellows.
Yeah, that is
not making a huge difference, but you know, a little improvement. So that's usually how it works. Just start stacking adjustment layers on top of each other. Cool. So what I can do now is, since I've been playing around a lot with the contrast, I think I don't like the contrast of our falling model there. So I'll just increase it just a bit more, and always come back and check our color lookup adjustment layer. And it's looking pretty okay. We talked about birds, so now I kind of want to add a bird onto the image.
Yeah.
So we'll use our good friends at Adobe Stock. And actually, I just thought about one thing. What we can do is we can go into the search bar and type in birds isolated and see what they got. Oh, this is great. This is great. So we can use.
And you could just have it show the photos. That one might be good.
Yeah. So filters, photos is what you're.
Because some of those are hard to tell if they could be vector.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want vector.
So I'm gonna download two because I got two ideas. So, and I'll show them both. So I'll save my preview to my Adobe Live. Is it saving it? I can't tell. So I'm just gonna open up in a new tab just to make sure that they're saving.
Mark Roos, thank you
Adobe
for
Live.
being here. Doesn't understand a lot of English, but we'll practice.
Save to Adobe Live. Okay, cool.
Glad you were here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for being here. Adobe Live. We got some birds. So I can just drag in that image of birds, and I can, these are gonna be so small that I think that we can get away with just by using a blending mode. So let's see if that works. It's gonna be super tiny, super tiny. And maybe we can place them like, I don't know, like maybe off to the side here, just super tiny, right? And if they're super tiny, we might be able to get away with just using the multiply blending mode. And then, yeah, so I like that. I'm gonna license the image. So
Good man.
License image.
So the bottom portion is too
bright. The bottom portion.
I don't know, and but this is why, like, I think we have this other set of eyes.
Yeah.
You know, Paulo and stuff like that, talking about the model's contrast. It's pretty nice having another set of eyes looking at this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think this is really helping a lot. Is it just me, or I know you picked her to be on this side because the other one was on the other side, but I feel like there's more space right there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Do you flip those two? Do you put her over on that side now?
Maybe, yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like we're not stuck with like the first idea that we had, because on the one my final one, like originally he was like in the center, and I had this building on top.
That has nice balance.
Yeah.
Really
so like
nice balance.
And it's basically doing what you said. Like you look at something and you can try that technique I showed on day one by going into view, flip horizontal, and then you can, when you flip it horizontally, you see like a whole new image, and you start seeing mistakes, and you're like, oh wow, like maybe I like the reverse better, or maybe not. I don't know. So, and you can come back, and like your eye starts seeing all these different things.
Yes.
So Yeah. So I said I was going to show two things with birds. So that was one technique with birds there. The other technique with birds is by going into the libraries panel and getting this flock of birds here. And this is great because it's black and white, and we can make that into a brush. We talked about brushes the other day. So if I select a brush, I can go into Edit, Define Brush Preset, and I have a bird's brush just like that.
Sweet.
So I can go into this layer or this file, create a new layer, and paint birds. But those birds are huge, so we need smaller birds. See that?
That's the thing that I always do wrong.
Which
is figuring out the size of the actual brush.
Right.
You know, because that happens in all the apps.
Yeah.
Like, why is my brush so huge? Like, well, you used a high-res image or whatever. Like, I do that all the time.
Exactly. So see, both techniques give you fairly realistic birds. It's up to you which one you want to use. In some ways, using a brush, you get a little more flexibility, because if we really, really wanted to go crazy here, and I'll delete those birds so that I can show you what I'm about to show you, is we can click on the brush settings, keep an eye on the preview window here. We can increase the spacing of the birds, the size jitter, the scattering, the count, and now we have a ton of birds.
Flock of birds.
A flock of killer birds
or
going
murder
through.
Of crows.
Murder of crows, exactly.
Just the best.
That's the best
for
name
for
for
any set of animals. A murder.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep the image just because it's already sized up and ready to go.
Less than 15 minutes, get your portfolios in.
Less than 15 minutes, all right. So we have that there. So at this point, what I would do is...
I'm loving this.
Loving it. See, I'm not loving the blue here, so I would just mask that out, to be frank with you. I would just find the background, and where is it? Here it is.
And that's one thing I noticed when you flip the image. I'm like, oh, now I see that.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it till you flipped it.
Right. And I don't really need to be too precise, again, with my masking yet. Or maybe at all, because this is like atmospheric perspective. So maybe it's getting some of that atmosphere in there. I don't know.
I just kind of noticed definitely that stuff.
Yeah.
At least just that part.
Yeah. I agree.
Huh.
And also, I'm actually thinking of trying something. So I'm working, I'm also thinking of what I could try to fix those areas. And I'm gonna try it and see if it works. So I could create we also talked about it yesterday, a 50% gray layer, clip it to the layer below, Control-Alt-G, and then change the blending mode to soft light, and then dodge it, which means make it brighter. So if I make that brighter, maybe it'll blend with the sky a little bit better. See that?
Oh, yeah.
And I know I'm getting the buildings, and it's okay, because I don't want to be perfect. So what I'm going to do now is double click to the side of the layer, use blend diff, and I'll use the blend diff as my mask so that it doesn't affect the dark pixels. And I don't know if it'll work, but we're trying it. So yeah, you see how it's not affecting the dark pixels really now?
By the way, you don't have to make a portfolio. Hopefully you have a portfolio.
Yeah.
It's not a contest where you have to make one all of a sudden, nor does it have to, are we picking the best ones, but...
Yeah, and actually I had the wrong, I was supposed to be working on underlying layers so I can bring in the dark pixels. So see how the buildings are coming out now, and that paint job effect is only in the background now? So before and after. So, just little fine tunings.
That's good. That works.
And...
this is looking really good.
Got 10 minutes, so I'm just trying to think of all the things I want to show. So since we have this really bright highlight there, which is the sun, maybe I should make her brighter.
Yeah.
And something that I would do for that is just create a new layer, and we'll do that same technique I've been showing you guys for the past 2 days. So I'll just select a similar yellow-ish color, and then just paint in some of those highlights to just make them stand out.
And you can't see it, but you're actually painting on the layer. There's no, there is a clipping mask.
There is a clipping mask.
Okay,
yeah,
got
there's
it.
a clip mask.
Okay, perfect. Look at that. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. Is there any area that you tend to maybe overdo it on? Do you think people overdo it on the highlights, or any advice there?
I think that, yeah, generally speaking, people overdo it. I overdid it here in some, so if it were really a highlight, like there would, because we talked about it in the painting yesterday, like the on the shoulder, like it was just like if I remember correctly, not only was it not blended as best as it could be blended, but also it was like sort of near a shadow. So if it was really light hitting it there wouldn't be a shadow, you know what I mean? So like I've seen people add highlights on top of shadows and it just looks kind of weird.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So,
they're adding highlights.
Like if I were to add a highlight here behind her leg,
with...
like in this part of her leg, like it wouldn't look as realistic because it's obviously a shadow. So you would need to work with that. But I'm gonna change the blending mode to color dodge, and remember what we talked about: opacity and fill give you different results. See that?
I love it.
And then unchecking transparency, shapes, layers also gives you a much different result. See that? Now it's like she's right in front of like a really bright light. Reducing the opacity won't be as good as reducing the fill opacity. See that? So see how we have that highlight just like right in
I want
front
that
of her.
sharp.
And
you're kind of, I guess, taking hints from obviously all the highlights around on the buildings and everything like that.
Yeah. And also like we did it, I mean, again, I don't know if it was an accident or not, but we did a really good job in matching the highlights of her body to where the light source is in the image.
Yeah.
So
I just how you said we, because you're doing all the work. This is
no, that was your post, I think. I think you said have her upside down.
Oh yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. But we did. We almost got lucky, but I think we were like.
We're just that good that we don't have to think about it, man.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows where this?
And to sort of avoid that problem that I was talking about earlier, I like to bring the underlying layer blacks to the right, so that I don't really. You can kind of see it on her knee a little bit, how I made some of those shadows brighter. So I'm just gonna hold Alt Option on the Mac, click on that, and split them in half just to get a smoother transition between highlights and shadows. And I'll press OK.
I'm absolutely loving this.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, anyone? Just let us know.
So I just saw a comment that said that they like how I'm doing all this with a mouse. So I actually use a Wacom tablet at home all the time, but for the longest time I used the mouse and it took me a long time to convert. So I actually got to be pretty good with the mouse.
Yeah.
And we got about 5 minutes, right? Before we move on to the portfolio reviews.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll show you a trick. You wanna see a cool trick, Paul?
I would love to see all your cool tricks.
Because I was gonna add a lens flare in here. So like the way that I've seen people add lens flares is by making a layer black, and then you can go to filter, render, lens flare, and then you can kind of guesstimate where the light source is, and then select the type of lens flare that you want. I'll use Movie Prime because it looks cool, and adjust your brightness, right? Press OK, and then change your blending mode to screen, and you have your lens flare, right? And if you don't like it, you can move it. But the problem with moving it to like where my light source really is that I can get like that edge. You see that edge here? It's because, like I move the layer. And if I want it to be like super precise on a lens flare, again, Photoshop, Adobe hides the good stuff in Photoshop, so you need to know how to get to it, which is good for me because then it gives me a job. But do you know how to precisely place a lens flare, Paul? Like pixel, like on the dot.
So info panel, and then you have to probably grab a reference point.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So yeah, you're close. So we'll say that like right there, we want our flare right there. And I'm only creating the guide just so that we could, know exactly where we want it, right? We'll just assume that that's the spot that we want it in. And if you go into the info panel, as you were saying, you see how when I hover over the image, I get the X and Y coordinates. I have terrible memory, so you guys are gonna have to help me out, Paul.
Yeah.
So 1871 and 433. 1871 and 433.
Got it.
X 1871, Y 433.
I like it.
So we want our lens flare there, right?
Did you say 4? Was it 14 or
433? 433. Yeah, you got it. You got it. So then that's where we want it, right? Right in that pixel. So I'm going to enable this layer because it's going to go in here. We want to work non-destructively. And if I go into filter, render, lens flare, guess where we're going to put those numbers?
Okay, can you move that? Do we have numbers that pop up if you click in there somewhere?
Right click, nothing.
You work on the actual image.
So the good people at Adobe are actually have a secret hidden keyboard shortcut that only if you're super cool, like my good friend Bert Monroy, Photoshop user number 6, showed me. If you hold Alt, Option on the Mac, and click, you get this precise flare
Alt.
center.
Got it.
Super cool, right?
Yeah.
So then the numbers were 1871 by 433, if I'm not mistaken.
Look at us, you're good. Yeah. You're like, I need help in the numbers. We had to repeat it like 20
Well, that's
times.
why I kept repeating it.
That's so good. Thank you for your help, Tim.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you. So then you can press OK, and notice how the lens flare went to that specific spot. And I can adjust the brightness of my lens flare, choose a different one, but I think I'll choose a different one. I'll choose this one, make it brighter, press OK, and look at that, Paul. It appeared right there, right in the center. Precise flare. Once again, the keyboard shortcut is under Render Lens Flare. And if you want to place the lens flare exactly in that point, hold Alt, Option on the Mac, and click on the preview window, and boom, you get the precise flare sensor. Another request for Shantanu, now that you have them on the phone, is we can put those input codes like right there. Be awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a good call. You know what I used to do, which know what I still do, because I would create a new black document and put the lens flare in there and then drag it over.
Yeah.
But what's the issue with that?
It's destructive. You mean?
The lens flare position could come out. It could, you know what I'm saying? There's the lens flare, and then there's the fractals from the lens flare.
Right.
Might be different.
Oh, I see.
On the
not
position,
the right perspective.
And it might not be like the right.
So I'll show you a trick that other people use. That it's not necessarily bad or anything. It's just it is what it is, right? So like you have your. I'm gonna use that keyboard shortcut that I told you about yesterday, the one where you smash your forehead up against the keyboard. Control Alt Shift E makes a copy of everything. Then you can go into Filter, Render, Lens Flare, and like you find where you want.
This is where you would usually
and then just press you got your flare there, right?
Yeah.
Then you would delete it, create a new layer, fill it with black, or that's white. Filter, Render, Lens Flare, and Photoshop remembers the last flare, and press OK, and there it is. But
that's good too.
Yeah, that's good too. You don't have to be all fancy if you don't want to be fancy.
Well, I like these hidden little things you're showing us, though.
Yeah, it's cool.
Why didn't you make a smart object of your black layer? Just curious.
I don't think you can make use a. Let's try it. I'm like 99% sure you cannot make a lens flare with a smart object, but maybe I'm wrong. So smart object, filter, render. Oh yeah, you can. All right, I guess you can make it into a smart object and then change it later. All right, there you go. I learned something new. Good. Yeah, that works too.
Thank you
call.
for that.
Yep.
Good call,
I like
Tom.
That. I like that.
Jason Rose, welcome back.
Yep.
Hey, Dennis. Less
Good
than
call,
2
Tom.
minutes.
Good call. So I'll just drag this down. Or no, I'll keep it up here. Nice flare. How much time do we have? Oh, it's almost coming up. So I'll show you like basically the last thing that I would do, even though it's not perfect. So I would select everything. We talked about it yesterday. Put it all into a smart object so that we can work on the entire composite as a, actually I'll do that again. I'll crop, I'll put it into a group, layer mask, and I'll even crop this whole thing. And then I'll make it into a smart object. So I can work on it as a single layer. I can go into filter, camera raw filter, and from here I can adjust the entire composite as a single layer. So I can make it maybe warmer, adjust the shadows and highlights as a whole, increase clarity, maybe adjust the saturation of the image. Sharpening, this is super cool. So if you drag the sharpening slider to the right and actually let me make it at 100%, you always want to work at 100% when you're working with sharpening, otherwise you would get a misleading result. So I'm increasing the sharpening, right? But what am I sharpening? The entire image. If you hold Alt, Option on the Mac, and click on masking, it turns white. But if I drag to the right, certain things are gonna turn black. So whatever's set to black will not be affected by the sharpening effect, and whatever is set to white will be affected by the sharpening effect. So I don't want the clouds to be sharp or the sky. So I'm gonna drag this to the right and just make sure that the lines on the image, like the edges of the image, have the sharpening effect applied. So see that? I can sharpen it all day long, but I will not affect the sky and clouds and things like that, just the things that should be sharp. Also, I can come in and apply a little bit of grain. We talked about it, I think, yesterday, that I always like adding just a little bit of grain to my composites, just so that they, feel a little more like film, and also so that it, you have one cohesive, unified effect. And maybe I can also add just a little bit of vignetting just to like frame everything in there. And I think that's all I want to add. If I change my mind, I can come back and but see, by doing those adjustments, notice how much more cohesive the image looks. See that?
Yeah.
It just brings it all together.
Makes it pop. And again, I think that whole adding that graininess, again, another clear giveaway when you're doing compositing. If one image is slightly grainy and then one isn't, it's a clear giveaway.
We forgot to do one thing, and I'll fix it really quick. We didn't flip the background, rotate the background. So I can open up the Smart Object, and I have all my background layers in one group. I'm going to transform them. I'll rotate them which way? Probably that way would be cool, I think. And then just scale that up without holding shift. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, buddy.
And
loving it.
Oh, it just plays it. Just trying to get rid of that black. So something like that. There. And now I gotta move the birds. Sorry, man. I know we gotta go like in 2 seconds. But
no, you're fine. You're good.
Wait,
we're gonna.
Where are my birds? Oh no, that's not the right birds. Yeah, I'll place them here. Something like that, and then we'll save it. And that's the great thing about working with Smart Objects, that like I was able to edit those layers, and it keeps the camera raw filter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So nice. Jesus, you were the man. We'll probably kind of do a recap with you in a second, but as you can see, the clock says 000, so it's time to take off and do portfolio reviews right now. Welcome back, everybody. You probably can't hear me too well. You can hear me through this a little bit. Oh, is it breathable?
Yeah, it's breathable. It's okay. I didn't even try it, man.
Huh?
I didn't even test it to see if it was breathable.
You just put it on.
I could have died.
Seeing as we explored the galaxies, located two portfolios to review. Wish we could review more, but we want to spend some quality time on these, and that's what we're gonna do right now. So thank you so much for submitting. You can do that through the portfolio review tab. We do this for each segment, and you can see in the background right here on the computer. See right? Boop, 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 boop. Let's pull it up full screen, and you can see. There
we go.
Here it is.
Cool.
So congratulations, Jennifer Leon Thompson. I don't know if congratulations are in order. This is a portfolio review. Jesus could be vicious for all we know.
Oh yes.
Just shredding. Yes. So this is really good. Instructional designer, ACCS. In Mesa, Arizona. Jennifer, we reviewed one of her pieces, but I do like to kind of jump down here and just kind of see, okay, SharePoint designer, graphic designer, awesome.
Cool.
And
I think that's the image we reviewed the other day, right? That one.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like, I think I said,
you everyone.
Yep.
So here's Jennifer's piece. Actually, we reviewed this.
Yeah.
This is all about superheroes. So she's like a Phoenix.
Jean Grey, X-Men. I mean, that's not what she was going for, but that's the image I got in my head. Yeah,
Either that or Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Fun. Like, I think she did a great job. Like, obviously, like picking the right colors and it's unified as a piece. But
yeah.
Let's scroll down. Ooh. Slow down. I'm getting tired. Like, look at all this. You're working hard. Anyone? Since you're here, I want to kind of click on this Redskins fan art. Yeah.
I like the particles. It looks, I mean, at least from this angle, it looks like she probably created some custom brushes, which is pretty cool. But
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's how she did it, but at least that's the impression that I get from there, which is super cool.
Yeah. Great job. I like this little product placement.
Yeah.
You know, putting it actually in an environment, which is
May
smart.
I give a suggestion on that? Because I think this particular image sort of has the problem that we addressed yesterday at the last example that I showed on the stream, which was, how to place something in perspective appropriately, remember?
Yeah.
So you can tell that the aspect ratio wasn't 100% the same, so it was a little distorted.
Yeah.
So that's, if you go back and watch the stream from yesterday, like the last 10 minutes, we talk about how to like solve that issue.
Yeah. And like one thing I'll do in those cases is I'll draw just like a square and see if it distorts the square.
Right.
But I think in this case you're kind of checking out this circle. So
Yeah.
you're trying to find something that's, because sometimes it could be hard to tell.
Yeah.
Good call though. Let's scroll up. Ooh, look at you.
Oh, Adobe Max
So she did some, this could have been a challenge as well. Adobe Daily Challenge.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, VIP invitation.
Nice. Yeah.
So colorful.
Yeah.
Like this, and again, we probably already kind of like have reviewed this in the past, but I love how colorful this is. This is exciting. I'm into it.
I like it a lot. And talking about Adobe Max 2018, I know the guy who was on stage doing the sneaks presentation.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think you know him as well, right?
Yeah. He's a hack.
Yeah.
He's this hack.
Yeah. I'm not going to mention his name, but
Yeah, he's a total tool.
yeah.
I think in some of these cases, no.
You know what I
have
really
any-
like about this? The background. The background is super cool.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
really
like those lines. It's got a lot of energy, a lot of color. I like it a lot.
exactly, and taking that into this like pink right here, having like that kind of echoes the background. So consistency with style is like really good.
I like it.
My 2 cents was like, would it look good if all of the photos were black and white?
Mm.
Because I was thinking one of
Yeah.
them's black and white, the other two aren't.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, this was a daily creative challenge, so
Yeah.
I love it when people like submit their portfolios. They write a brief description of what's going on.
And they don't have a lot of time.
Which
so.
other? We got some cool ones in here. We have this one. We have this one. We have this
I
one.
kind of want to check out the woods.
You got it. This is a daily creative challenge
Looks
as
like
well.
layer styles to create that text, if I'm not mistaken. Looks great.
This is Adobe Daily Challenge movie poster. I like it. Let's see if I can kind of make it larger for us and see the whole thing.
I like how she wrote this film is not yet rated. I love that.
Yeah, cool. What would you do differently if you did anything different?
I'm in love with the text. The one thing I don't like about it, I think the shadows might be a little too... See, because if you zoom in, because the rest of the image seems very like grungy, but then the shadows seem a little too soft. So maybe I would add a little bit of noise in the shadows, to kind of match that grunginess. But I like the, like the colors and the font and all that.
Yeah, I agree. I think good choice on the font. I would honestly just take away most of the effects on the text. Like, less is more. This is nice. So again, like nice and tight. Good choice of font.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent work. Let's go on to this latest one. Ooh, let's see.
What is it? Oh,
this is
nice.
for this
Album
contest.
cover.
The album art inspired by Lake Stovall's latest music project. Nice.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think she does a really good job, like with the Max poster, like integrating type in with the design, or making sure the type matches the design overall.
Okay.
Because I love this font. I love this line under the O. I don't know where that came from, but that makes it interesting.
All right, so I don't know if, because when I first saw and how do you pronounce that?
Stovall?
Yeah. Like I read in my mind Stonewall, and I was like, oh, maybe that's why she's got that texture on there. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't say Stonewall.
good.
It's super cool. I like that, and I actually do like how that texture looks up against because it's weird because it's got that like that depth, that extrusion.
Yeah.
It's completely flat that matches the background, which is super cool. But then the text itself has a lot of texture, which I think works great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm into it. But that's a good point. Like, how does it read? If it's a unique name, what part is somebody going to get tripped up on?
Right.
Right. So, yeah. But way cool. Good color choice. Great job.
Who's
I
next?
hope you win. All right. So let's move on. I think we did a pretty good job here. I'm just going to randomly kind of click
Another
through
cool
some
one.
of these.
See, like a lot of our pieces have a lot of color and motion, which I really, really like.
Yeah. This is my favorite, I think. This sort of duplicating the image,
Super
a little bit
cool.
of a glow.
I like that.
Great job. Yeah, I would say, what are your thoughts overall, like for the whole portfolio? Because there's a lot going on here.
So I'll say two things. As just like somebody, like as an instructor, I like watching how you can tell that she's gotten a lot better, over time. Like if you look at some of the stuff down here, it's not as strong as some of the stuff up there. Mm-hmm. Like to be frank with you, if I see some of the stuff with like text like that, I mean I haven't seen the actual, but just looking at that text doesn't seem nearly as good as the text on top. So she's obviously improved, and I like that.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing that I would probably recommend is just maybe remove some of the older stuff that's not as strong, and just even if it's not as much, just focus on your strongest stuff, because some of the stuff down there, might have been great, I don't know how long ago, but it's definitely not as good as the stuff she's got now. So I would focus on the good stuff and just showcase that. Yeah. Unless there's like, some personal reason why you want to showcase some of that, then sure, it's fine. But just as somebody who doesn't know the what's going on behind the scenes with all these
and it's like you said the first day, because there's obviously a shift happening, reminding me of kind of like, you having a web design background, and we don't see any web design stuff in your portfolio.
Exactly.
So, like you said before, put in the work that
you want to get hired for, right? And not even getting hired for the work on top, like the last 4 rows are just way better than everything below that.
You literally do 4 rows. And then one thought there is everybody has access to Adobe Portfolio.
Yes.
And with Adobe Portfolio, you could select the projects you want, and those go in your portfolio, but it doesn't. Right. You don't have to get rid of everything else. Yeah. And you could still save these. They're just not published. Right. So I would kind of unpublish those or curate it and make your own portfolio. Yeah. Good call. All right. And again, Jennifer Thompson, congratulations. You're great. You work hard, and we just really appreciate you.
I like seeing the improvement. The improvement is great to see.
Definitely. So good. So thank you so much. You just can't say enough nice things.
Nope.
All right. Novans.
Indonesia?
Adi Kresna?
Adi Kresna, how would I say? I don't know.
Adi Kresna? Digital artist, commissions open. All right, commissions are open. Let's do this. I'm going to hire you from stuff. Novans born in Surabaya, Indonesia.
See, a lot of personal projects. Yeah, I like that.
And I always love seeing this. It's like, hey, what can I do for you? Yeah. Like, ask what you want. Like, do you want to hire me? Because I am available.
And he's definitely got style.
Yes, look fantastic. Yeah. Look at this. Let's just kind of scroll down.
Yeah. You know which one I want to click on,
you want to
right?
click on this one. Oh yeah, we're going to dive right into Spider-Man.
What do you do?
This is Spider-Man Homecoming poster art.
Nice.
Oh man.
Super cool. See, this also has the same thing that I was talking about with the winner from, I think it was yesterday. All those, the depth with the rocks, the sparks, the fire. Iron Man in the background, and he's not really in focus. The Avengers Tower not in focus. I just love seeing images with a lot of depth. They seem very real.
This is like really cool. Lots of motion. Sold. Sign me up. Yeah. One thing. Let's kind of scroll down. I like these detail shots.
Oh, here we go. Does he have let's see. I kind of want to see what he... Okay, so he got... Oh, that's really cool. Really good masking on that.
Okay, this is what I was wondering.
Yeah.
The process.
Really cool.
So he had to start some stuff on fire. He had to travel to Hawaii where there's some volcanoes, and he had to take some picture. He had to hire Iron Man to float in the sky back there. And
super cool.
Great
use of perspective though. Like he really nailed the perspective on there. Really good.
It's interesting because it looks like he he worked at this angle too.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll be curious about is if he shot that photo of the guy in the Spider-Man suit, because then that means he even thought about the composite before he even shot the photos.
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
Good point. Yeah, great job. Kind of adding more of the lighting.
Really cool. Really cool.
Wow. And that's a personal project? Oh, wait, hold on.
He's got a lot of good stuff.
We'll be here for the next 2 days. I'm sorry.
Another really good one.
Yeah, so good. Love the detail shots. And then to include these.
Yep.
Super
He's
fun.
got some birds. Yeah. And I would encourage everybody who does this kind of work compositing to include these little videos, just because it really helps you showcase like what you actually did, right? Because when I first saw the Spider-Man one, the poster they did, I wasn't sure if like what would the original image look like. Like the original Spider-Man, is that a friend of his? Is that like a stock photo?
Yeah.
So I don't know if he just added the text, but then once we saw the work, it's like even more impressive.
Yeah, and if you did. I guess just clearly state what you did and didn't do.
Yeah.
That's the big, like if you don't have to have all these process shots, those are fantastic, but
Super cool.
Yeah, we get it. We get it, you're good. You're really good at what you do.
Nice.
Any other ones? Man.
And also with him, he keeps getting better as he keeps working on it, like although the Spider-Man was great, some of this new, look at this, like this is fantastic.
Look at how good that is. Let's go full screen on this one.
I'm actually curious to see what apps he's using, because I'm also wondering if he's incorporating 3D apps.
Oh, let's see. See if we can. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Photoshop. Looks like it just says Photoshop. And
if you scroll down,
it's featured in illustration.
Yeah. If you go down, I think it'll. That one's super cool.
What I like about this is, you're killing me. Stop it. Yeah, I'm appreciating this. I love it.
Nice.
I'd be curious as to know how he did this.
Yeah, keep scrolling down, I think.
Yeah, that's
nothing below that. Like, did he write it?
Well,
oh, here we go.
Sorry.
So he used After Effects for that.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
After Effects.
After Effects, Photoshop, and cool. Yep.
Yeah, you're the man. Novin's great job. And again, I like this piece because down here I was like, oh, he's really good at these realistic photo composites. Yeah. But obviously he does this graphic design type stuff that's really impressive.
Let's check out his latest piece.
Okay. Personal project, the social series.
Super cool. I can guarantee you that, these pieces take him, a ton of time to do. He's definitely putting in the time in his craft. Super cool. I like the lava. I'm guessing that's lava coming out of the eye socket. Super cool.
Yeah, I like this shallow depth of field.
Yep.
That little bit of blurriness. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I'm going to search for some process stuff. Maybe we'll get a process video.
Yeah. Because I would love to see how some of these were created. They're so good.
Oh, yeah. This is so nice.
And again, as you were saying, the shallow depth of field really, really helps sell that effect.
Yeah. Well, nice.
That's actually one of the best little, what do they call them? Like, when you take a photo and you make it look like a planet, that's actually one of the best I've seen. Usually they're not nearly that good.
Yeah, they're not. They're in a circle, but this is more like a sphere. Yeah, it feels like much more like a sphere. Okay.
Super cool. Yeah.
Social series.
Yeah, I would have loved to see a video on this one, but it's great.
Yeah, totally. Especially how you do some of this stuff. So let's scroll down, like you said, see what's involved. Stock. Okay, cool.
Somebody wrote, Jesus, I hope you won't mind me using some of your techniques. Of course not. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to show you all this, but don't use it.
That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing. He definitely has the work, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take away any.
No.
They're all so good that no curating needs to happen.
And also, like, anything we say is probably just nitpicking that, probably really doesn't.
It's just nitpicking. Yeah. It's nothing.
No, it's great. And it's all, like, above this line right there, everything has, like, the theme is very cohesive, so it's great. And I like how he uses, like blue a lot. I like that.
Kind of darker with some, like, swooshiness with
Starman.
Time Traveler.
Cool. He's definitely very creative. I mean, obviously very talented at with the software, but like the stories that he's telling with his images are great.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Might have been.
He might have been. Yeah, it looks like he was featured on Photoshop Creative magazine. If I'm not mistaken, that's a magazine that's more common in Europe, but I could be wrong about that.
Looks like he uses a Wacom as well.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay, so cool. And I don't know if Novan's with us, but I think we've covered most of yours. Yeah. This is awesome.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. So hopefully you got those links. And yeah, now I'm depressed. I have so much work to do.
Yeah, I know. We got to catch up.
But what do? You participate in these daily creative challenges. It's like little by little.
Yep.
He was down here somewhere, and
we saw it with was it Jennifer, the first person that we reviewed? Yep. A lot of the ones that we saw were daily creative challenges, and as we mentioned, she's progressed from the first works that she published to the latest stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All stuff that not getting paid to do it. A lot of Novan's stuff, I bet you anything, he didn't get paid.
Right.
It's personal projects that turned in, just like for you.
Yeah.
Personal stuff that turned into a real job. So let's switch back to your.
All right.
Yeah, let's switch
over
to
more.
All
right, let's do it.
We're done here. We highlight two. Congratulations, Novans and Jennifer. You two are fantastic. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of something super cool that I could do with this, and I think I got an idea.
Okay, you have like maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
All right.
Well, so I don't know. I don't even know if you want to do like a recap or like.
Okay, well, I won't do anything like it was gonna take me like 5 minutes, but yeah. Okay, so.
Okay.
Yeah, just to recap. So, man, I really want to do something cool. I'm gonna go cool, man. I'm sorry. I'm gonna save this, and I know people are gonna be like, wait, we want more, but I'm just gonna save this as a JPEG, and I'm gonna close Photoshop. And I'm not going to save any of this. And we're going to go with Adobe Dimension.
Let's do it.
So this is a compositing app, as I mentioned earlier. I'm going to create a new document. And the first thing that I'm going to do is just add my image. So image as background is the image that I just saved. And it's going to come into Adobe Dimension. Just like that. I'm going to click on match image just so we can match the lighting and all that good stuff. There it is. So now we can use this image as a background, and actually the image looks bad, and I think it's because I didn't save it as a high resolution image in Photoshop, so we're gonna have to deal with
oh, it's all right.
Yeah, with this. And the reason I wanted to bring it in here is because I downloaded some of those assets that I was talking about earlier in the stream. I have a libraries group called 3D Assets, where I put all my 3D assets, and we have all these awesome assets. So I was thinking of maybe adding like a space shuttle or something in here. Sweet. So I can just drag it in here, and it should load up pretty quickly. It's loading up. And notice that the space shuttle should have the reflections of the city, the colors, and all of that if it works correctly. And that is huge. So if you bring in something into Dimension and it's huge, you can click on this icon to fit to the selection, but I don't want to do that. I'm just going to make it smaller. So I'm going to click on this scale icon, hold shift, click and drag, and scale it. Yeah, I'm scaling it. Wait, making it smaller. There we go. All right, I am going to do that. I thought I was going to be able to get away with it, but I didn't. Anyway.
That's nice too. It's an easy button. Yeah. Just kind of click in there. Oh, look at that. She's like, hey, I want to say.
See, so now we have this spaceship there that we could place in our scene. And the cool thing about Dimension is that I could also get like a live preview render of what's going on. And what I mean by that is if I click on this icon here, we're going to see this little preview there. I can expand it. And now we have like a super cool spaceship that matches the composite, right? So it's super cool. And this material is not very reflective, so it's not really going to show the reflection. So I really wanted to show you guys the reflection. So I'm just going to add this capsule, which I think has a more reflective material. And I'm just going to make it larger because I know we have to go like in 1 second. And we'll see what that render looks like. But you can see how it's reflecting the city and all that cool stuff.
Very cool.
So your composites in Photoshop, you can take them into Dimension and add 3D objects.
I love it.
Cool.
I love it. You did fantastic, Jesus. All of your past 3 days worthy of a rewatch as you go through Jesus withdrawals this weekend. You're like, oh, I gotta get more. And go ahead and plug your other stuff too.
Yeah, Photoshop training channel on YouTube. You guys are all on Behance now, so just go to my Behance page and click on the follow button wherever it is on the page. I think it's on the tab there on the side. Just follow me. All my links are there. Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. So Behance.
Oh yeah. Place to be. And JR from
PTC is on Behance and Instagram. Yep.
Cool. Fantastic. Jesus, you're the man.
Thank you,
we
brother.
really appreciate you. Thank you, Anil, Ryan, Tim, everybody. Rod, stay with us. We have John Olson up next. So thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.